So when you look at the drawing here, clearly blue broke a rule. They're clearly the windward boat, and they clearly didn't keep clear. So they broke rule 11, a windward boat shall keep clear. They clearly broke it. So here's how the rules are written, and I'm saying it in a way that many of you may know this, so don't think I'm just assuming you don't, but it's just, I'm going to go through it anyways. Here's the operating system for how the rules don't penalize that windward boat for taking room that she's entitled to. So now we're going to talk about condoms. Seems like maybe we don't have to worry about condoms. We have this social distancing. Maybe that'll take care of it. The condom rule is Rule 21. And you'll find it, Part 2 is where all the racing rules are, when boats meet. And there's 4 sections. Section A has the 4 right-of-way rules: port, starboard, windward, leeward, ahead and astern, and tacking. Section B has the 4 limitations: don't hit anybody. If you acquire right-of-way, initially give room. If you change course, give room. And 17 is the proper course. Section C we just talked about, 18, 19, 20, rule marks and instructions. And Section D has other rules. It's kind of like that closet in your house where you're having a party and you don't know where to put it, so you just throw it in the closet. And Rule 21 is called exoneration. Exoneration, of course, means not penalized. When you break a rule, you're exonerated, you're not penalized. So I call Rule 21 the condom rule, because exoneration is protection. It's protection for boats that are doing what they're entitled to do, but they otherwise don't have the right of way. So let's look at Rule 21. It says, when a boat is sailing within the room or marked room to which she's entitled. So picture blue. Blue was entitled to room under Rule 19.2b. An outside boat shall give an outside boat room. So B was sailing within the room. The windward boat was sailing within the room she was entitled to. When a boat is sailing within the room to which she's entitled, she shall be exonerated, not penalized. If, in an incident where the boat required to give her that room, think about the yellow boat, if the windward boat breaks the rule of Section A, which is Rule 11, or breaks 15 or 16, or she's compelled to break Rule 31. So if you go back to the picture, the big one here, clearly yellow didn't give her room. Blue was sailing within the room she was entitled. She wasn't taking more room than she was entitled. It's not like she was a boat length away from the thing. But by taking the room she's entitled to, she ended up fouling the leeward boat, breaking 11, and she was forced to hit the committee boat, breaking Rule 31. So Rule 21 says she's exonerated. That's how that works. So if you were protested, if you were blue, you'd go in and say, look, I knew I was entitled to room under 19.2b. We weren't approaching the line to start because it was 2.5 minutes to go. And I know I broke Rule 11 and 31, but I'm exonerated by Rule 21. And that's going to end the protest right there. The jury's going to look at you and go, oh my God, you know what you're talking about. So that's how that one works. The yellow boat is down to leeward, and she's holding her course. She's just sailing along in there, and she's yelling, don't go in there, don't go in there. Like they always yell. But now it's 10 seconds to go before the start. Look up. It's 10 seconds to go. So now you'd say, okay, clearly the blue boat still broke Rule 11. She didn't keep clear. I don't have her hitting the committee boat here, but let's say she hits the committee boat. So she clearly broke rules. And now the question is, does she have her condom on? Is she protected by any other rule? And the answer is no, because Rule 19.2b that required the yellow boat to give her room at the obstruction doesn't apply, because the boats are approaching the line to start, and the preamble Section C says it doesn't apply. Therefore, blue is off-roading. She's not protected by Rule 21 in any way, and she will be disqualified under Rule 11, not keeping clear. The slang would say she's barging, but barging doesn't exist in the rules. There's no such thing as barging in the rules. It's just when a windward boat tries to wedgie themselves between a leeward boat and the committee boat. Let's talk about contact, because clearly we have contact in this situation. Rule 14 is rule on contact. Just really quickly. A boat shall avoid contact with another boat if reasonably possible. So in this situation, could the blue boat have avoided the contact? Sure, don't go in there. Could the yellow boat have avoided the contact? Sure, bear off. So both boats could have avoided the contact. Going back to this one there that happened 2.5 minutes to go, though, there's an interesting technicality in here. Clearly, the blue boat could have avoided the contact by not going in there. So both boats broke 14. But Rule 14 says a boat shall avoid contact with another boat if reasonably possible. So both boats broke it. However, whenever you see however in a rule, it means, hang on, I'm going to say something different here. However, a right-of-way boat or one entitled to room. So blue, in that example, was a windward boat, but they were entitled to room under Rule 19 in the first example. So a right-of-way boat or one entitled to room, B, shall be exonerated if she breaks this rule, Rule 14, and the contact does not cause damage or injury. The contact does not cause damage or injury. So going back to this one here, clearly the blue boat's entitled to room. There's 2.5 minutes to go. So she gets the advantage of the damage or injury clause. And if there was no damage or injury in here, she won't get penalized for breaking 14. She'll be exonerated. But down in this one here, in the second one where there was only 10 seconds to go, there's only 10 seconds to go, the blue boat was not entitled to room there. So she doesn't get the protection. So even if there was no damage, she's going to be found to have broken 14. It's a moot point because she's also found to have broken 11. The key is the yellow boat is also going to be found to have broken 14 here. She's the right-of-way boat, so she gets the benefit of the damage or injury clause. So if there was no damage or injury to her, the yellow boat, to the blue boat, or if the blue boat hit the committee boat to the committee boat, then she doesn't get penalized for breaking 14. But if there's any damage to yellow or blue, it could be a scratch to yellow or any injury. Somebody's finger goes flying off. Okay? If there's any damage or injury, then the yellow boat will be penalized for breaking Rule 14 in this situation. So here's the last one, and here comes your quiz number 3. So it's a situation at the committee boat, 10 seconds to go. Lure boat's yelling, don't go in there, don't go in there. Winter boat goes in there anyways. Both boats are yelling protest. And the quiz question is, does yellow need to give blue room in this incident? So going back to the situation here, clearly the difference is the lure boat has changed course. When the lure boat changed course, Rule 16.1 requires them to give the other boat, the blue boat, keep clear. Room, of course, is the space the winter boat needs to comply with all the rules and keep clear. And clearly the yellow boat didn't give them that space. They forced the winter boat to foul them. They forced the winter boat to hit the committee boat. So Rule 16 requires the lure boat to give the winter boat room to keep clear. And in the way you do this is obviously the winter boat didn't keep clear, so they broke Rule 11. But do they have any protection? Is there any rule that protects them? Well, in this case, Rule 16.1 required the lure boat to give them room. So now they can jump into the Rule 21, the condom clause, the condom rule, and say, hey, I was sailing within the room I was entitled from Rule 16.1, and you forced me I fouled you and the committee boat. So I get exonerated. So that's how that would play out. It's not that the yellow boat has to give the blue boat room at the mark or room at the obstruction. It's another room. It's room from Rule 16.1. Let me make a point here that I didn't make.
Okay.
On at position 2 here, clearly blue has room to fit between the lure boat and the committee boat. Would you agree? Well, you're going on mute. So Nevin, stay with me here. So okay, in position 2, can the lure boat go straight ahead without taking action to avoid windward at position
2? Yes.
Yeah. Can the lure boat luff without making immediate contact? Say yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Okay. So the winter boat's keeping clear of position 2. They're not breaking any rule yet. But notice their bow is now in behind the committee boat. So now when the lure boat luffs, Rule 16 requires her to give the winter boat room to keep clear. Well, room is the space the winter boat needs to keep clear without breaking other rules. So what can the winter boat do at that point to keep clear, if anything? And the answer is
nothing.
Nothing. So a lot of people think the winter boat's wrong for being there. She just shouldn't have put herself there. And as a coach, I might say, yeah, you took a big risk going in there. But I want you to, this is talking to both boats. If the lure boat luffs and the winter boat physically can't respond because their bow's behind the committee boat, then the lure boat can't go up and whack them. The lure boat's got to bear off and give them room to keep clear, wait for them to get past the corner of the committee boat, then you can continue your luff.
Okay. But that differs from the previous example, correct? Where the yellow boat was sort of on a trajectory where there was not much room between.
Right. The difference here is the lure boat never changed course. Therefore, it never had that requirement to give that winter boat room to keep clear. It never changed course. It was the change of course that kicked on Rule 16. So if the lure boat's holding her course, she's a lure boat and the winter boat has to keep clear. Here, the winter boat just sailed in there and remember, the winter boat's not entitled to room with the obstruction because they're approaching the start. So thank you for that.
Maybe I misunderstood the way the quiz results or something came out. I couldn't figure out what. So who's in the wrong in this slide here? Both boats?
Well, this wasn't the quiz slide. In this slide, the winter boat's clearly wrong for Rule 11, and the lure boat might be wrong for breaking Rule 14 if there's any damage or injury.
All right, and then my last question. Okay, sorry.
In the quiz, the question was, does the lure boat have to give room in this incident? And the answer is yes. When she luffed between 2 and 3, Rule 16 required her to give room. So the answer is yes, she was required to give room.
Okay. I guess my last question would be, and I think I know the answer to this, but in practice, there should be something to be said for sort of hailing, don't go in there, or, the distance between the boats in respects to our dinghies, I feel like isn't very much. As far as room behind a committee boat like this? Well,
the reason I do this is because rules lead to tactics. So first of all, yellow, I always say, let your boat say don't go in there by luffing. In position 1, yellow should be luffing and aiming at the committee boat and shutting the door. Don't yell, don't go in there. I think that's kind of push league. Just turn your boat and say with your boat, don't go in there. But number 2, if you delay, or let's say there's 3 or 4 boats here and you're a couple bowlings down, you got to know that if you luff, you got to know if the boats to winter of you can physically keep clear of you without running into the committee boat. You just have to know that. And you can't just slam them in there and say, well, tough luck, you shouldn't have been there. That's not the way the rules work. If you let them in there, then you can't skewer them on the committee boat. So it's talking to both boats a little bit.